What's up, Facebook Live?
Hello.
Nice to see you all today. As you are joining us, we would love to know where you're tuning in from and 3 things you are grateful for. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to see you all as you're tuning in. I'm going to see if I can set this up right down here.
I'll hold it.
Do you want to hold it?
I'll hold it.
Perfect. Welcome, everyone. As you're tuning in, we'd love to know where you're tuning in from and 3 things you are grateful for today.
I'm grateful for our hike. We went on a beautiful hike today in Muir Woods. We're in Northern California. It was really beautiful, wasn't it?
It was beautiful. I'm going to be sharing this with a few other places.
Okay.
So, as you're tuning in, I'd love to know, write down in the comment section where you're tuning in from, number 1, and...
Yeah, where are you guys from? Let us know. We're in Sausalito right now.
I'd also love to know 3 things you are grateful for.
I'm grateful for our hike. It was really beautiful. I'm grateful for the delicious food we have and this beautiful home we're staying in for the summer. Mark is from Springfield, Missouri. Hello, Mark. Welcome. And Parwinder says, hey guys, with a smiley face. What are you guys grateful for? Let us know. 3 things. We do this because studies show gratitude increases happiness. When you focus on what you're grateful for, there is no room for fear, uncertainty, worry, anger, sadness, madness, craziness.
When's the best time to focus on what you're grateful for?
You should focus on what you're grateful for throughout the day, as much as possible, I think. And especially when you wake up, probably before you go to sleep, after maybe you had a long meeting today. Focus on what you're grateful for. Focus on what you're grateful for when you're happy. Focus on what you're grateful for when you're sad. And then you will be happy again, most likely. All right, Troy says, Troy from Canada. Hello, Canada. Canada in the house. Mountain views. I'm grateful for that too. Mountain bike trails and family time. I love family time. Troy, I hear you. All right, Aziz says, hi all. Parwinder, grateful for my comfy bed. Yeah, that's a game changer. As it is 2 a.m. Wow. Make sure you get some great sleep, Parwinder. Stephanie says, grateful for my kids and being able to wake up to them. I just need my health better. Oh, so she's grateful for her kids and waking up to them every day. She just needs to get her health in check. All right, Stephanie, what are you doing right now to get your health in check? Let us know. You know what you need to do. We look forward to hearing what you're doing to stay healthy and to get healthier. All right, so today we're talking about a couple different things. Jaylene, welcome from Florida. I'm grateful for my lovely parents. So are we. My incredible accountability partners. Awesome. And the 2 of you putting these awesome live calls on. Yay. Oh, thanks. Thanks. We appreciate your appreciation. Elle says, good night to all. Trinidad and Tobago, grateful for health, family, and being able to pay my bills. Amen, sister. Stephanie, I'm going to go swimming. Right now? Don't take your phone with you. My family, Mark says, my family, my coaching clients, and my health. I overcame Crohn's disease. That's amazing. I would love to hear how you did that. Message us, please. I have a family member who could use some help. Michelle, grateful to have my leg out of plaster and have a proper bath. Aw, bless your heart. I'm glad that you're no longer walking around with a plaster leg and you're able to take a bath. I would be very grateful for that too. Pete says, hey from Sydney. Cool picture. Hey from Sydney. I'm grateful for my excellent apartment views, the delicious lunch and being prepared that we can share today with both of you. Stephanie Barbosa says, and changing my diet in the process. Good job. That is awesome. Go, Stephanie. Olivia, I'm in Providence, Rhode Island. Very cool. I'm grateful for my health, my dog, and my husband, and you guys. Aw, thanks. We're grateful for all you guys, too, that join us. Antoine, what's up? You're back. Thanks for coming back and hanging out with us. Grateful for you guys. The last few days have been very enlightening because of your live feeds. It's all him. He's pretty awesome at these things. The happiness advantage has been amazing. Yeah, it has been really amazing. Callie, I went to middle school with Jairek. Woo woo! I would love to hear some stories you have to share.
Basketball.
I love meeting people from various parts of his life. They always have fun stories. Janine says, hello from South Florida. You Floridians, I hope you are staying cool, because I know it's pretty toasty down there. Says, I'm grateful for many opportunities that come my way. Way to go. Joshua, good day, guys. Grateful for you guys and for Dad, Big T. All right. Oh, Jarek's dad, I think, or your dad. I hope maybe both. That would be cool. Also, thank you for your book, Live It. Olivia, you're reading Live It? I love that book. If you guys haven't seen it, it's coming out in Spanish, and I'm excited about the cover. It's very colorful, and it says, Viva. We're excited. He's excited. He's just sharing it. Oh, by the way, if you are into this thing, and all you guys that said you loved it, share it with your friends. Invite them. More the merrier. All right. Back to our regularly scheduled program.
All right. Hopefully y'all are doing, let me see.
It's hot in Orlando.
Hot in Orlando. Yes, it is hot in Orlando. That's why we are up here. I don't know if y'all can see this, but if you see that kind of white fog coming down this hill, it's really remarkable. It's amazing because it's bright and sunny up there, but then literally there's these big rolling pieces of fog. There's one that keep rolling down this hill right outside our window. It's really crazy here. The fog's a little aggressive coming down that hill, but it's exciting. So as you're tuning in, we'd love to know, one, where you're tuning in from, and thank you for everyone who has been tuning in. And number two, we would love to know 3 things you are grateful for.
I was sharing it.
I appreciate that.
I was sharing it, and then I could see the side of my head. That was weird. And I want to make sure you remember what we're talking about.
Man, that fog is incredible. It's amazing.
Crazy. We're in Sausalito,
Sausalito. And it's really amazing to watch this fog. Look, it's getting crazier. You got to see this. So a few seconds ago, you could see the sun, and now you just see fog.
And it's just coming down the mountain. All right.
Okay, so we're talking about 3 different topics today. First off, as always, we are talking about, number 1, where you're tuning in from, and number 2, 3 things you are grateful for. The reason we do that is because of this awesome book right here we've been reading, and I got some more awesomeness from it called The Happiness Advantage.
And it's contagious. Sometimes when you share what you're grateful for, it makes other people realize they're grateful for that too. It's like a gateway drug to happiness.
It could be true. There's no scientific data to back that up, except my wife
says
it's true. So
1 out of 1.
There you go.
Study.
There you go. There's an objective viewpoint of my wife saying that it is true, so you can believe her. Kathy, Portland, Oregon, grateful for my husband, baby, and working 3 days a week. That's awesome. Great work.
Amanda says, Amanda, you're adorable. I love when people give compliments to themselves. That's really awesome. You're adorable.
She's here all week, people. She's here all week.
Are you glad I'm back?
I'm glad you're back. So we're going to be talking about 3, Tony. I've been reading the book 2, just started. It's an awesome book. Great to see you. Good to see.
See, Amanda gets my humor.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Amandas do get that humor. So here's what we're talking about. 3 different things. Number 1, the difference between a job, career, and your calling. And this comes from a researcher named Amy
Wisniewski.
We're guessing on that. She's a Yale psychologist. And
obviously.
She's Polish, obviously. There's a ski at the end there.
Makes her awesome.
And she did some research on the difference between individuals who believe that they have a job versus a career versus a calling in their life, and how it affects their happiness, how it affects their performance, and how you can transition from one to the other in just moments if you'd like to. So we're going to show you how to do that. Number 2, we're going to be talking about the only time you should enter another relationship And we have some differing opinions on this because
Enter another or enter a?
Enter a relationship, any relationship, a intimate relationship, a friendship, an emotional relationship. I have my own belief, and I'm pretty passionate about when and what time periods in your own life you should be entering another, a relationship with anybody.
Another. You keep saying another.
And the key with that is, I'll share with you my beliefs, but I'll share with you, we recently had dinner with a couple that focuses on helping people have flourishing, amazing relationships, and they had a radically and totally different opinion of what we believe, or I believe, and I'd love to share both with you, because I don't believe everything works all the time. I believe everything works some of the time, so I'd love for you to have different opinions from different people on this topic to see what works for you and where you're at and how it applies. And then the third thing we're talking about is really learning to value your own contribution to whatever it is that you do. And we had recently a very interesting situation where I've noticed a trend in certain age groups of men and women who value certain things that are being contributed to society, but other things are radically devalued at this moment of history. And it's very fascinating. I don't think it's right. But I'd love to share it with you and love to have almost a conversation with you about it, because I think it's very fascinating at this moment in history what people, men and women, choose to value and what they choose to devalue, and how that affects relationships, how it affects personal self-esteem in the moment and day-to-day life, and how it affects everything that's going on in your world. And I'd love to share that and chat about it a little bit. Let's scroll up a little. Dennis, Amanda, maybe your turn to come on my podcast. Dennis, she will rock your world. We had lunch with him in San Diego.
Oh, yeah.
Jane, hey guys, nice to see you. Carla, tuning in from Regina, Saskatchewan. All right, Canada. Grateful for a surprise of fancy coffee with cinnamon bun from my coworker, Kitty Cuddles, and little love notes from my guy and BFF. That's so sweet. Jolene, hello from Miami. Hello, George. Thanks so much for taking over my Snapchat. Let me know when you're ready for Facebook. Shoot me a message when done.
Hello, peace, love, and gummies.
Thank you. I did this with George, I think last week, and we had a lot of fun. I took over his Snapchat account, and he had a whole bunch of people following him, and I gave him probably maybe 2-3 minutes of really solid back-to-back content. And what's amazing is if you have a channel, and then we told them where to find more of me, and I think we had like 100 or 200 people come and follow my Snapchat and join us to hear stuff like this every day. So if you have a Snapchat community or a Facebook community that would really love us to come and visit and say hello and tell them some great, awesome knowledge, we'd be happy to, in return for telling them where we're at and they can come visit. Also, if you find this useful, click the share button and let more people know about it. So for those of you who just tuned in, I see that number ticking up way more than when we started. We always start off by asking you, number one, where you're tuning in from, and number two, 3 things you are grateful for. As soon as you do that, all you need to do is type it right down there in the comment section, so we know that we can help kick off what we refer to from Sean Anker as the happiness advantage. And there's 5 principles he found that absolutely transform. There's 7 actually, but 5 are the most useful that are simple and easy for anyone to do. Number 1, identify 3 things you are grateful for each day. This literally rewires your brain so that the filter and lens in which you see the world is geared to see what's right with your life versus what's wrong with your life. It puts a filter over your eyes, basically, that everywhere you look is that rose-colored glasses where it is beautiful and it is exciting and it is amazing all the time. Everyone has their days on and off, but by doing these 5 things or 7 things regularly, it actually helps you stay in the quote-unquote happiness advantage where you have that rose-colored light to the world. So number 1 is 3 things you're grateful for. Number 2, journal each day. And it could be a digital journal, a vocal journal where you just record it, or a physical journal that you write it down. And in the journal, you capture good things that happened and how you felt about them. So 3 or 4 things that great that happened, and write down what your feelings or experiences were with those things. Another thing you can do that he says is a random act of kindness. This could be as simple as writing a text message or a note to someone, thanking them unexpectedly for something that they do in your life that you love and support or appreciate from them. It could be as, going out and buying food for a stranger, paying someone's toll, an unexpected act of kindness towards another. And the beautiful part about that is that kicks off dopamine and serotonin in the person who's giving the random act of kindness's mind, kicks off that same serotonin and dopamine and oxytocin in the person who's receiving the random act of kindness as a surprise. It also kicks it off in anyone who observes the random act of kindness, which is very, very beautiful in that moment. So it helps, threefold just in that one random act. From there, he also talks about doing 10 minutes of meditation per day, just focusing on your breath and clearing your mind. Practicing the ability to focus your mind at will is very important, he said. Exercise, 45 minutes of exercise at least 3 days a week, allows you to control your body and teach you how to take control of yourself and have the leverage to push yourself. What are we missing?
Meditation.
Yep.
Random act of kindness.
Yep.
Journal. Exercise.
Yep. And meditation. No, wait.
Meditation, random act of kindness. Meditation, random act of kindness, journal. Exercise.
What's the last one he said?
While we're thinking of that, a random act of kindness can also be an email to tell someone thank you or that they're awesome. I like that because sometimes I think a random act of kindness, for some people that might be introverts, sometimes it seems like it has to be this huge thing or like you go like way out of your way and with this complete stranger and like do something really sweet for them, which is awesome, but some people are a bit shy. So don't overthink it. A random act of kindness could actually just be like shooting someone an email and saying, hey, thanks, you're awesome today. Or not just today, but you're awesome or something. So
that's true.
Oh, gratitude.
3 things you're grateful for. That's where we started.
Gratitude, meditation, exercise, journal, random act of kindness.
Perfect. There you go. All 5. and so I knew we were missing one that we say all the time. Thank you, Carla.
Yeah, thanks, Carla.
So that piece, with the 3 pieces, we always ask that you take a moment just like this and drop in some awesome things right down here in the comment section. At least 3 things you're grateful for, because we feel we can help you every day by reminding you to do so. And by you participating, it's helping us continue that conversation and help spark other people. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now let's jump into today's topic. Let's start off with the difference between a job, a career, or a calling. And according to Yale psychologist Amy
Wojcicki.
We're definitely making that up, so we're sorry, Amy, but we're getting as close as we can. Let's see. She's made a living out of studying how the mental conception we have of our jobs affect performance. After many years and hundreds of interviews with workers in every conceivable profession, she has found that employees have one of 3 work orientations, as she calls them, or mindsets about work. We view our work as either a job, a career, or a calling. She says people with a job see work as a chore and their paycheck as the reward. So if you want to write this down.
A job is seen as a chore with the paycheck as a reward.
They work because they have to and continuously look forward to the time they can spend away from their job, which is really interesting. So I'm sure all of us have had moments where we have a job. And a job can become anything. This has to do with the mindset and mental conception. It may have had something in your life that the very first time you did it, it was amazing. You loved to do it. You had so much fun. You enjoyed doing whatever that was. And all of a sudden over time, now it becomes a chore. And it's like, oh, I have to do this. And it goes from I get to or I'm made to do this to I have to. And we'll show you exactly how to make that transition back if you want it back.
I would say too, I'd love to hear from some people. There's like no judgment at all, but just be like honest and leave a comment below if you feel like that's where you're at. You have a job and you're doing it to make a paycheck, and that's kind of where it ends. I'd be curious to know how many people that are watching. That's where you're at, and there's no shame in that. It's just being honest with yourself, I think, is really helpful.
And here's what's really interesting, though. Anything can become a job. And it has to do with mindset. When people first have a child, you talk to these parents and they're all blissed out. Oh my God, it's so amazing. And they're changing every day. And it's so incredible. And it's so this and it's so that. And wow, 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 wow. And after so long, that's not usually what you hear parents saying about their children. And that child raising becomes a job. And it becomes something that you have to do. And oh my gosh, what are they doing now? And oh, I can't believe they did it again. And it goes from this thing that feels like this amazing blessing that you've been given, where everything and every part of what you're doing is absolutely incredible, And all of a sudden it turns into this thing that you have to do and you're frustrated with, and not this again, and you're going through the motion. And all it did is it transitioned from one place to the next. And I'll share with you what happens here. So let's keep going, and then we'll go through and see what people are saying.
Yeah.
So the second one is a career. And a career is work not only out of necessity, but also to advance and succeed. So if you want to take notes, a job is working only as a chore, and they work for the reward of doing so. And that, for those of you who work for cash, it's like, great, you go to work and your reward, you get a paycheck. Now you can also apply that to, my child is crying and I go take care of it because at least it makes it be quiet. My spouse is doing something, and if I do this, it'll just get them to be, leave me alone. And it's fascinating. Anything can fall into this category. It's basically trading. I'm willing to do this, and I know I have to, but I'm willing to do it because at least it gets me the reward of what I want on the other side.
So let us know if you have a career.
So a career is work. You work not only out of necessity, but also to advance and succeed. People who have a career are invested in their work and want to do well. So the next piece is like, you believe in what you're doing. You don't do it just out of necessity, but you do it because you want to succeed at it. You want to advance. You want to grow. You want to be better at it. You want to excel at it. And you feel that you're, compelled. You're invested to do well. That if you do well, it's going to have a strong return, not only instantaneously, but long-term return for who you are, what you're doing, where you're going. And then finally, calling. These people view work as an end in itself. Their work is fulfilling not because of an external reward, but because they feel it contributes to the greater good, draws on their personal strengths, and gives them meaning and purpose. So, if what you view you do, and this could be what you call your work, this could be how, what you refer to as taking care of your children or your spouse or your household or whatever it is, but you can transition this to a calling where it feels like the process of doing it is the greatest thing, and it feels fulfilling not because of what you're getting from it, but it feels like, wow, by me doing this, it's taking my greatest strength and it's allowing me to contribute them to the world and society. Therefore, that is the greatest thing I could be doing. That is the strongest, biggest, baddest, fastest, the most amazing version of who I am. And I live to give those gifts because that's what's the experience. Is just giving of those gifts is what lights you up and makes you feel, valued and amazing. Just the process of giving, not the return, not the reward, not anything you get back. It's just the process of giving them that lights you up. It says, unsurprisingly, people with a calling orientation not only find their work more rewarding, but they work harder and longer because of it. As a result, these are the people who generally are more likely to actually get ahead in whatever they're focused on, which is fascinating. For those who already see their work as a calling, this is a great news. Those who don't, though, you don't need to despair, she says.
Don't worry. If you don't think you're doing your calling, don't worry.
The most interesting finding is not just that people see their work in one of three ways, but it is fundamentally doesn't matter what type of job they have. She found that there are doctors who see their work only as a job and janitors who see their work as a calling. In fact, one study of 24 administration assistants, each orientation was represented by nearly equal thirds, even though their objective situation, job description, salary, level of education, etc., was nearly identical. So she went out and studied 24 different people in the exact same position, doing the exact same work, and a third of them saw it as a job, a third of them saw it as a career, and a third of them saw it as a calling, something they were called to do. What this means is a calling orientation can have just as much to do with the mindset as it does with actual work being done.
That's great news!
In other words, unhappy employees can find ways to improve their work life that don't involve quitting, changing jobs or careers, or going off to find themselves. Organizational psychologists
you don't have to run away and go find yourself.
Call this job crafting in essence. It involves simply adjusting one's mindset. The researcher says, new possibilities open for the meaning of work simply by the way it is constructed by the individual.
That's pretty cool stuff.
So here's how it works. If you so there's two ways to change what you're doing. If you feel what you're doing is a job and you're like, listen, I am not made for this, And really, truly, honestly, I would rather go do something else. Go do it. Step one. So if you don't like the way reality is, change reality. Go do something different. Now, if you're in a situation that you say, listen, based on where I'm at in my life, based on my situation, based on whatever, I can't make that transition right now, there's a second thing you can do. The second thing you can do is adjust how you view and experience what you're doing, and therefore, do you want help?
No, we're good.
Okay. You can adjust how it is up here that you think about what you're doing, and instantaneously you can transition. But let's see what people are saying real quick. Let's see. Where do we stop off here? You two are awesome. Thanks, Troy. Jolene, I'm grateful for hugs and Bacon Tribe. People helping each other each day for family and sunshine. That's awesome. I feel like I've got all three. Amanda says. Monica, grateful for a mind that works. Coffee in the mornings. Grateful I get to travel for work. Rajiv says, job equals cash, career equals wealth. Interesting. Amanda says, I have jobs that support my calling. Very cool.
Elaborate.
That was loud.
Sorry.
That ear. She got very excited for you, Amanda, though.
I want to hear more about it.
My ear would like to hear more about it, too. Carla, I had a career. Now it's a job. Giving my notice next week. Interesting. Mithan, I love what I do, but I wouldn't define it as a calling. It's closer to got to do something to fund my life, the things I explore in life, and my growth. Interesting. So it might be a career for you. Yep, I seem to have a career. Oh, there we go. Rajiv, ideally, a true career would be the offspring of a deep soul's impulse. Interesting. I always want to do well, Amanda says. Mithan, yes, that's exactly where I am. Career. Elaine, I think these days it doesn't hurt to have two of the three. Sometimes having a solid income from a relatively low-stress job can provide security and creative freedom to pursue more passions. Absolutely. Yeah. So Elaine, you're onto something here. What Amanda was saying, all three of these are awesome. There's not one better than the other. A lot of us psychologically, especially if you consider yourself to be an achiever, will say, oh, I must evolve to the top of this hierarchy. And there's no hierarchy. They're just three different mindsets and approaches of how you go about doing what you do. Now, the key here is there is more happiness found in following a calling or having a calling. And what I'm about to read to you is how to transition a job into a calling with just a little tiny mental adjustment. It's a very small adjustment they recommend, but you can instantaneously shift it. And it's very easy to do. But it's not bad if you have a job. Jobs are great. You need a job many times in life to get from point A to point B. That's what they're there for. Mark says, my career has turned into a job, post office, but I can retire in 3 years. I also have a calling as a coach with my own coach business. Very cool, Mark. Antoine says, I felt a calling to work for myself. It is a joy to be independent and interdependent and to help others. I tried so many safe jobs, but never felt right in my gut because fearless. I became fearless, grounded in myself, and became my dream and working on my dream life because of that calling. Very cool. Amanda, Elaine, that's wonderful. Oh, that's my world at the moment. Elaine, balance of both financial and psychic income. Very nice. Mithans is fascinating. Mark, that's how I feel too. Cindy, it's that sense of fulfillment. Jamil? How do you say that?
Jamel?
Hello? Bob, hey guys, come to visit Newport soon. Place to stay. Thanks, Bob. We will. Keep up the solid mission. David, what's up, y'all? Amanda says, elaboration. The purpose of my life is to light people up and do whatever I can to see a smile light up a face. My calling and gifts are as an actor, helping people to feel things, but I make very little money that way. So I'm a bookkeeper and a massage therapist and a scrapbooker and a creator and a small business owner. That's a lot of jobs.
Wow.
And a wife and a mama.
Great job, Amanda.
Thank you for saving my right ear. My right ear appreciates
Just
that.
having a talk. Great job. And whoever is working the post office, I just want to say thank you so much for all that you do.
That's true.
I really am so grateful for all the people that are a part of the mail service system at USPS or UPS or whatever. I really appreciate the work you guys do.
Me too. Karen says, I love this topic. I view my career as a job now, and I'm feeling less fulfilled. Interesting. So
I view my career as a job now, and I'm feeling less fulfilled. It sounds like that's a comment. That sounds like how a couple different people feel. So one thing that's cool is what we're going to get into actually is how to bring it back to a career or even a calling.
Yep.
And so hopefully that works for you. And great job, Amanda. You're crushing it.
So
how do you?
Organizational. I appreciate your random act of kindness of saving my right ear. I just want to tell you that.
You're welcome. She's got sensitive ears.
No, she's got a very loud voice.
That's true.
She likes to share it with my ear directly. How does this work? According to organizational psychologists, it's called job crafting. In essence, it involves simply adjusting one's mindset. Here you go. So I'll skip ahead. How does it work? Well, if you can't make actual changes in your daily work, ask yourself the potential meaning and pleasure already exist in what you do. Imagine two janitors at a local elementary school. One focuses only on the mess he must clean up each night, while the other believes that he is contributing to a cleaner and healthier environment for students. They both undertake the same tasks every day, but the different mindsets dictate their work satisfaction, their sense of fulfillment, and ultimately how well they do their job. So I always tell a story when I was living in Uganda, and there was this little old man who was the janitor or caretaker of a clinic right outside where I was living. And every day he swept these leaves, and it was always at sunrise, always the same way, long dirt path with this big broom. And it was amazing to watch. And he always had this beautiful smile of satisfaction every day. And I went and interviewed him. And when I went and interviewed him, he didn't speak English. So I found someone who spoke his language, and we went back and forth in translation. And I remember asking him, why do you do what you do? And his first response was, because I'm supposed to. And I remember, and I remember saying, no, why do you do what you do? Like, what's the reason, the purpose, the meaning? Like, why? What drives you?
Calling.
And what's interesting is that the person changed her question a little bit, got through to him, and all of a sudden his face lit up. He was alive, and he communicated back to me. He says, through her, he said, the reason I do what I do is I believe every human being, whether it's a small baby about to enter this world or a sick or elderly person about to leave this world, deserves a clear path to do so. And I remember being in awe in that moment, because just like these researchers, I've met people who've done extremely well, who own multiple companies, who've traveled the world, who have every freedom you could frickin' imagine, who are incredible human beings, who've done all this amazing stuff. And even though they have all this awesomeness in their life, they're miserable at what they do every day because of the way they think about it. They think about it in a way that it's a job. They have to do it. Now they're stuck. Now it's a burden. Versus this guy who was sweeping leaves, and to him, he was unbelievably passionate about it because to him, it was his calling of truly clearing a path for people to enter and exit the world through this dirt path that he swept every day. It's such a simple shift. But here's what they say. It's
so beautiful and powerful. If you haven't heard him tell that whole story, he has a TED Talk. Mm-hmm. It's called A Simple Formula to Change the World. Look it up, and he'll tell that whole story. It's really, really beautiful and moving, how someone could add so much meaning and purpose to something most people would just see as a job.
Yep. So when would this be most useful? I think it would be most useful on the days where you don't feel that what you do really matters or it's meaningful. And if you ever get stuck in a day, we've all had them, where you're working, and you sit back, you look at what you're doing, and you go, frickin' really? Like, what is the use of this anyways? And I've certainly had them.
I've had
them. Okay. I'm sure you've had them. But there are those days where it's like you get to the end of the day, you look back, and you're like, does any of this even frickin' matter? Like, does this add up to anything? Was this even useful? Does anyone even frickin' care about this? And in that moment, this is where going back to the mission or the core element is so important. So here's what they say to do. In their consulting with companies, they encourage employees to rewrite their job description into a calling description. And Tal Ben-Shahar, he's a guy who also studies happiness at Harvard. He's one of the teachers there. And it's called a calling description. So have them think about the same tasks that they do every day, but how would they be written in a way that would entice others to apply for the job? The goal is not to misrepresent the work you do, but to highlight the meaning that can be derived from it. And then think of your own personal goals in life and connect how the tasks you have to do link up and connect to the larger purpose of what it is that you feel you're here for. Researchers have found that even the smallest task can be embedded with greater meaning when they are connected to personal goals and values. The more we can align our daily tasks with our personal vision, the more likely we are to see work as a calling. So this is the exercises they say to do. Turn a piece of paper horizontally, and on the left-hand side, write down the task that you have to perform each day at work that feels devoid of meaning. Then ask yourself, what is the purpose of this task? What will it accomplish? Draw an arrow to the right and write the answer down. If what you wrote still is unimportant and you don't find any meaning in it, repeat it again. So ask yourself, what does this result lead to? Draw another arrow, write that down. Keep going until you get to a result that is meaningful to you. In this way, you can connect every small thing you do to a larger picture, to a goal that keeps you motivated and energized.
So basically, write down all the tasks and then create a meaning to it.
So link it up. So keep saying, oh my gosh, the sun.
You want to move?
Maybe. Maybe just move that way, all the way to the corner. Let's see if we can move out of this sun. There we go. So basically, you're going to write down all the tasks you do, or at least the tasks that you don't find meaning in. And that could be anything between filing paperwork. That could mean, washing the dishes. That could mean cooking. That could mean anything. But the simple little stuff that if they've lost their meaning, go through them and link it up and say, okay, what's the purpose of making food? What's the purpose of taking care of my child? And it's like, I have to. I'm its parent. I hope parents don't think that, but if you got stuck in that route, going down the path of linking it up. Well, if I take care of them, it helps them grow into a healthy, happy, fulfilled human being. What else does it do? Well, it's building the future generation of this planet. Wow, that's a big freaking task. What else is it doing? It's preparing more people to be happy, healthy, fulfilled, whole people. Wow, what else is it doing? And you keep going down this list until you find something where it's like, wow, that's really worth fighting for every day. That's really worth showing up for every day. And you believe in it, and all of a sudden it lights you up. The next thing we're talking about, which is very interesting, is the only time to enter a relationship. And so this is fascinating. Let's see, we have a couple.
Do you want people to try to do this? Like, is there something that or do you just want to get into the next one? How do you usually do this?
So usually we show them what to do and allow them to go do it.
Okay, go do it. Just kidding.
Mithin,
I would love to. I think it could inspire others, though, if there's a job right now that you can change into, create greater meaning for, that ties back to your calling. I'd love to hear from you.
Perfect. Mithin says, I've been wanting to make a business for a while, but I've never felt my job was a calling, and I'm still working at building skills, ideas from my job field. No problem. Take your time. There's plenty of time in life. Kristen, I love her. Yes.
Hi, Kristen.
Me too. So here's the next piece. The only time that you should be entering a relationship, I had a completely and radical different opinion than a couple we had dinner with, last week, and they teach love courses and relationship courses. And here's what's interesting: my personal belief is, and I don't know if this has to do with because I'm a guy, because I'm an entrepreneur, and we've talked about this a lot. I've been a solo entrepreneur for the past 7 years, where I was just doing it on my own with handfuls of people that help every now and then, but mostly by myself. And in the beginning, I had to fill myself up. If I wanted a pat on the back and good job, it's working, that came from me. There was no one else around to come tell me, great work today, keep working hard, keep going, we love it. And now there's plenty of people who get benefit from this and share with us all the time, and we're very appreciative of all your feedback. But 7 years ago, we didn't have a community. It was, me pushing content out always and not hearing a whole lot back. And so the belief, the faith, the filling up of me, happy, healthy, fulfilled from the inside out, I was in charge of that. And there's no one else around me to really help. I had to find a way to do it on my own. Now, what's interesting, looking at relationships, I've always had the opinion that it starts off as a single individual, and the very first piece is you got to go out and find what works. So let's say you're a young person entering life for the first time, 18 years old, 17 years old. You go out, you get a job, and you try to get your own apartment, and you try to put stuff together. And as you're doing it, you go read books, listen to courses, listen to CDs, and you just figure out what works. And what works, meaning anything you can get your hands on that leads to the results you're actually trying to get to. That works. And then you start repeating what you learn. So you go learn that, saving money works. You save a bunch of money. You go learn that, learning certain skill sets help you succeed. You go learn the skill sets. And you go learn and apply to figure out what really works. The secondary step is there's only so many months, years maybe, that you can do someone else's way of life. So I can only use someone else's tools or approach for so long. And then after so long, it cuts to a point that it's like, it doesn't feel authentic anymore. It doesn't feel real. It just feels like I'm just copying what someone else does all the time. And at that point, you got to figure out stage 2, which is not only what works, but what works for you individually as a person. And as you figure out what works for you, now you got to kind of adjust the strategy. You kind of adjust it. And there's so many people that teach like the 5 things you must do every morning in order to succeed in life. And it's like, yeah, that's useful. Use it for a while and then adjust it to your own personal approach and your own practice that allows you to really feel fulfilled and get the results and enjoy the process. Eventually, once you figure out what works for you, then you automate it to an extent where you get it to unconscious competence, where you do it automatically every day without even having to consciously think about it. You get your body into the habitual ritual pattern of just doing it. So with that, my thought is before you ever go into a relationship, figure that stuff out. Figure out what works in your health, your emotions, your business, your finances. Figure all that stuff out. Figure out what works for you. And then figure out how to automate it so you don't even have to think about it, but you go through the habitual patterns every single day that make you the happiest, healthiest, most fulfilled version of yourself so that you can show up and be full. Now, once you're completely full and overflowing with what I say awesomeness or all the great things in life, then go find someone to share it with. That's my opinion. Now, here's what's fascinating. When we sat down with this couple, it was really interesting. They had a totally different opinion. They said that really limits a lot of people because if you haven't figured out how to make yourself fulfilled, how to fill yourself up with love, how to feel that you're your happiest, healthiest, most fulfilled self, does that mean you're supposed to miss out on the opportunity of sharing your life with another? And in their perspective, they said what they believe relationships are for is so that you can go into a relationship to help heal each other and help grow each other. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. So what do you mean? And they said, and they pointed to each other and they said, if one of us had childhood pain, the other one stands strong enough here to love them through it and to be the wall that they can project that pain onto and get so much love from it and work their way through that pain and heal themselves through this relationship. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's a very different opinion than what I have. And, just thinking it through, I'm sharing these because there are multiple perspectives. I don't believe one is perfect or right. I believe people go in relationships for all kinds of reasons. Now, what we found in our research was we were listening to a lady named Alison Armstrong, and she said that there's 4 main reasons that she has researched and studied of why people get into relationships. Number one, why they get married or long-term relationships. Number 1
was legacy.
So she said one reason people enter a relationship is to prolong a legacy. That could be a family legacy, a financial legacy. That could be a business.
It's usually like kids. Like a lot of people you get married and you have kids. Like that's what you do. And that's really the epitome of a legacy relationship. For others, it might be business. They get in a relationship to build a really great business together.
Right.
I want to be in it with you.
Okay.
You're cutting yourself out.
No, I'm just moving away from your amazing vocals.
Okay.
You could sing in an opera house so well.
Okay.
Let's see. So also, if you think about it way, way, way back in history, It's why the King of France would take his daughter and marry her to the King or Prince of England, because they were prolonging a legacy of kings and queens and whatever. And so it's anything to prolong a legacy. The second one, she says, of why people get into a relationship, at least a marriage, she was saying, is a support model. And the support model is either partner A has a vision, a mission, or a purpose, and partner B is their mission and their purpose is partner B is to support them in doing that. Or partner B has a mission, vision, purpose, and it's partner's A job, and they live to have that calling of supporting them and helping them. And so they say, it goes one of both ways. Someone's there to support, someone's there to have a place they're going and trying to get to. The third, she says, is a companion model, where they get together because they want to do everything together in life. They want to go places together. They want to do stuff together. They want to have fun together. Like, they want to do everything together. And then the final one was, what's the final one?
Karma.
Oh, she calls it karma, which is growth. They come to the relationship purely to grow because they believe the other human being will cause them or make them to grow into a better version of who they are. So these are some really interesting dynamics. I'd be interested. Why do you get into a relationship? And do you think, in your opinion, I'm not saying one's right or wrong, it's just a different opinion, if you believe it's best to first fill up, fuel up, be the strongest, healthiest, happiest, fulfilled version of yourself, and as a whole, complete person, then go find a way to share life with someone, that's awesome. That's what I believe. If you believe it's best to say, hey, I want someone who completes me. I know there's a gap that exists, and I want to find that person that completes that gap. Now, when they complete it, is it because you're trying to prolong a legacy? Is it because they want to prolong legacy? You want support or to give support? Is it because Elaine says Amanda needs her own webcam? Facebook's actually coming out with this really, really cool thing in a little bit, where you can have multiple cameras or multiple Facebook live streams paired together to have conversations. I think they're doing it for like duets and singers, but we'd be able to do it too, which I'm excited about. So I'm curious. Bank says it's quite hard to answer this. I'm in a weird situation. Well, tell us about this weird situation. We'd like to know it.
We love weird. Bring it on.
Mitten says to also serve and contribute in a relationship. Jane says, I agree with you. Interesting. Antoine, learn from many people. Walk a mile in many shoes. I look at a mile as motivation, inspiration, love, and encouragement.
Beautiful.
Absorb from many great teachers and all around.
Beautiful.
Amanda says, overflowing with awesomeness. Let's see. Jason says, to complete my missing parts and contribute. What I mean is this. Loved ones teach us to love the parts of ourselves that we haven't learned to love yet. Interesting.
That's beautiful.
Antoine says, I love to love. I have lots of love. Oops. No, don't block them. I have lots of love to give. Relationships can be so much more than today's projected norms. Interesting. Kristen, I agree with your philosophy, Jay. It wasn't until I found myself that I had the most success, healthy relationships that eventually turned into my marriage. That's magical. So for everyone, it's different. That's why I'm not saying it must be this way. I think it's really interesting that everyone has their own approach, but we're offering multiple opinions so that you can see them. Bank says, I want to say, figure myself out, be the best person I can, then go into the relationship. And at the same time, I just want to be with a girl who can make me a better person. Interesting. Jason says, let's get more people on here. I agree. It's a useful topic.
Make you a better person or bring out the best in you would be my question. Love conquers all, hate no matter what nationality. That is true.
Strong, Norman. Strong. It's true. So here's the piece. Bank, it sounds like the reason you'd be going into a relationship right now is for the growth. And my hallucination is, and I've always had, Jason says, nobody makes you a better person. I don't know. That's why people go into a relationship.
Some people
to grow.
Yeah.
I know I'm a better person because of her. Now, she didn't make me a better person. She didn't come in here with a mission to say, I'm going to make you a better human being. But I know I've grown in ways that I didn't know were things I could grow in my life, because with us together, there's new things I had to evolve and grow into. Now, at the same time, if you were to ask me, are you happy? Are you healthy? Are you fulfilled? Are you the best version of yourself? I worked very, 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 very hard at that prior to getting into a relationship to make sure I wasn't looking for anything, because my thought process and philosophy, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, was if I go to a relationship to try to get anything, a friendship, an emotional relationship, an intimate relationship, a business relationship, if I'm trying to get something out of it, eventually, once I drain the relationship of it, whatever it is, there's no more. And now I have to go look somewhere else to find it. Versus if I go to a relationship to give, and that's what I'm trying to do, it can never end, because I can always give more. Now, I can receive plenty from it, but I can always give more to it. And so my thought was, I always want to go there to give, because that means I can always challenge myself to bring more to the table, to give more to the process, and to light up the other person even more. Let's see.
You do a great job at that.
Thank you. So do you. Norman says, love and honesty makes a relationship. Very good. Mitten, my goals, reasons for my marriage is now growth, though it wasn't when I got in. I guess it also because of who I've become over the last few years. Interesting. You're a cute couple. Thanks, Norman. Jason, Plato said, all learning is recollection. Partners help you awaken what you already deeply know.
Beautiful.
Give, give, give. Give, love, serve. Mythin, yes, I'm always only looking to be giving and able to grow. Interesting.
Beautiful.
So this is just the second topic we wanted to touch on today, because I thought it was very interesting. I love your opinion on this. What do you think?
I think that you, without a doubt, bring out the best in me. And before jumping into a relationship, like Kristen said, I think that it is very important to figure yourself out and but truly know what it is you believe in, your values, what you're put on this planet to do, and find someone that complements that. And it doesn't have to be the exact same thing. I think sometimes people are looking it's like, do you want to date yourself? Probably not. But sometimes people expect the other to be exactly that, and I don't think that's the secret. I think the secret is really figuring yourself out so you know who you are. Find what it is, like your greatest gifts that you can share with another person, and also find someone that does value that as well. And like yesterday, if you're on the chat, one topic was a woman who's in a relationship and then she's changing in a lot of ways in her life and now wants to change her significant other. And I think that that is the key to, like, figuring it out before you get into a relationship is really key, because if you figure out once you're in the relationship, then I don't want to say it's doomed. I don't believe that at all, but I do think it might throw quite a few curveballs in the relationship. And so if you're looking for something that is an area where you can really truly love and be loved at the depth and core of who you are and who they are, and share that with each other for really, like, for the rest of your life, maybe, if that's how you vision your relationship, then you definitely want to, like, figure out who you are before getting into a relationship.
Nice. Very nice. Let's see.
And, I want to add one more thing. Sorry. I'm protecting his ear.
I appreciate that.
So, but I don't want to discredit those that do say that figuring out or finding someone that helps you grow. I don't want to discount that, because I do also think that maybe there is someone out there that has that same viewpoint and you do want to grow together. What you probably want to be careful of in that circumstance, though, is that you don't necessarily grow out of each other. Like, okay, you've served your purpose here, I've grown now, and thus I've grown out of the relationship. So I think that that's something to be aware of. Yeah, that's really it. So
very nice. Jay Patel, how can you practice giving if you're a taker? Don't.
How can you practice giving if you're a taker?
Or how can you practice it? If you're trying to learn how to practice it, the truth is that was a transformational moment in my relationship with my dad. I never realized this many, many, many years, and parents always give to their children. They always support them in many ways. And I didn't realize over all the years, whenever I'd go to dad's house or hang out and all this stuff, I didn't realize the pattern of he was always trying to be a giver and support and love and care for. And I thought just that's what happens. Like you go to dad's house and he loves to give and that's what lights him up. And it does. But I didn't realize the process of walking in and maybe it's me being a guy, maybe it's me being young, maybe it's just unaware. And it was always very difficult because my assumption was dad has everything. Literally, like anything the man wants, he gets. I'm very similar. So she always teases me with birthday gifts or Christmas gifts. She's like, what can I get you? If you want anything, you literally just go get it. Like you don't wait for anything or just think about having it. Like if you want it, you have it. It's like interesting. So I have the same pattern. But what changed dynamically, Jay, was I sat down and looked at it and said, wow, if every time I went to the house, I looked for a way I could give to him or them, how would that change our relationship? It changed it dynamically and dramatically in ways that I could have never imagined. It really, really, really built a whole different experience of us with each other, where I no longer need anything from them, and whenever I'm around them, I'm only looking for things I can do to give to them. So if I'm at the house and I notice anything. Even as much so, instead of them saying, oh, how are you, honey, which is nice to share how I'm doing. But in that moment, say, wow, what question could I ask him that would allow him to shine right now in this moment of his life? What thought could I remind him about that makes him feel special and unique and loved and cared for and cherished in this moment right now? So it's not just giving things. It could be helping them shine emotionally. It could be helping them feel loved. It could be helping them feel cared for. It could be helping them feel valued. It's anything that you do to give to that person to light them up and make them a better, healthier, stronger version of themselves. So Jay, how can you practice that? Every time you go to different relationships, friendships, community relationships around you, ask yourself, how could I, make this person's world even better, brighter, stronger, faster, more amazing right this moment? What could I do for them? Could I ask them a question? Could I just love them? Could I support them? Could I appreciate them? Could I acknowledge them? What could I do that would light them up even more right now? And if you always focus on doing that, you become a beautiful, flourishing giver in that relationship.
I think also to add on to what Jairek was saying, if you read up on the 5 love languages or learn their love language, then that will really help you give to them in a way that speaks their love language per se. Sure. And then that gift that you're giving to them means even more. So sometimes you might think like, well, I cook them food, but maybe acts of service isn't really their love language. It might be a gift, or it might be a word of affirmation. It might be quality time. That's great that you always buy me things, but I'd love to spend some time with you. So learning their love language is definitely the secret to really making those gifts and the things that you're giving to the relationship matter and count even more.
Absolutely. Christina says, relationship is about giving and opening your heart unconditionally. When I love someone, it makes me go crazy because I want to do anything for that person. Then when I come up with crazy ideas, which I thought that I would never do before. Awesome. That sounds fun. Bank says, what about people that do not want to be in relationships? Don't be in a relationship. I think the only challenge is there's 7 billion people on the planet. So if you don't want to be in a relationship, the challenge is you're going to be in relation with other people all day long. So unless you're going to live in a cave and not talk to anybody ever for any reason whatsoever, you're going to be in relationships with people all day long. Now, you can go there just to get stuff, or you can go there to give, and that's up to you of how you treat everybody. Like, give a smile to a stranger versus get pissed because a stranger's in your way. Like, that can be handled in so many different ways. How do you know if you have the right partner? That's a much bigger question for a different live cast, but I appreciate that.
We'll save that one, Bank. We'll get back to that one.
We'll definitely go. My mentor, John DiMartini, says you can never really know for sure. Does John have a loving, passionate relationship? I'd always pay attention to people who have the result you want.
Yeah,
Elaine,
definitely.
I like that. Knowing the essence of yourself and your own values, being grounded in that, then keeping an open mind beyond that with a partner. Absolutely. And that's the key.
Open mind
you could fill yourself up and be the happiest, healthiest, most fulfilled version of yourself. Be overflowing with awesomeness. Go to that relationship to give, and then learn holy smokes, there's so many more ways I can grow even beyond what I thought. But you're not coming there at deficit. You're coming there from total abundance and then learning, hey, there's even more I can do. There's even more I could grow. And I've seen a few people say like, hey, I was full and then I met so-and-so and now I'm even better version of myself. That was the case for us. Like neither of us were looking for something that needed to be filled. There wasn't a gap anywhere in our lives. Like we were fulfilled. We were doing great. And we met each other and we were just focusing on giving to each other. And as we've grown, like we've both grown tremendously over the last few years being together. It's amazing. Antoine says, that is awesome. Shifting with purpose to be the gift to others, even if that's just your presence as a present. Absolutely. Hal, glad to see you guys doing it right in the Bay Area. Mirror Woods in my backyard. Hey, Hal. I got your message. We'd love to hang out. Maybe later next week. We have to check our schedule. Bank says, man, I believe I'm looking for growth in relationship, but at the same time, it's quite hard to identify the right partner. I guess one who takes on the challenge. Absolutely. Man, this is awesome.
You'll find them.
Just realized why I'm dating so many women. You're looking for growth. You're welcome. I guess I'm doing this because I'm unconsciously looking for the partner or partners that can give me the optimum growth. Absolutely. So Bank, you're onto something. If we talked about those 4 reasons of why you get together, you're looking for someone who's going to help you grow. Just make sure that if their purpose is to helping you grow, that they also thrive on growing themselves and you can help them grow. Otherwise, it becomes an unfair relationship that they help you grow in all these ways.
And then you grow out of it.
They become your coach or your mentor.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they help you grow, you decide you need someone else because now you've evolved past the relationship. I've gotten many emails.
Find someone else that helps you grow in a different area.
I've gotten many emails from women saying, I don't know why I keep finding the same partner where I become like their mom or their coach. I help them grow so much, and then eventually they grow out of our relationship and disappear on me. I don't understand why. And this is exactly why, because they're getting in a relationship with a human being who wants to be with them because of their desire to grow. But it's an unfair piece because that person does not have the same intent to give growth and produce growth in the other person as well. So it's an unfair connection there. You want to make sure, Bank, if you get into a relationship with the pure desire to grow, you're there to also help the other person grow just as much. Mitten says, sorry, I have to drop off, take my daughter to school. Much love. No worries. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for hanging out.
His wife died. Oof.
Oh.
Sorry to hear that. I didn't know that about John. But again, if he says never know for sure, I'd be interested where he goes from there. So you know, we were just talking to someone the other day, a beautiful, beautiful human being who was dating this man. They had gotten engaged. They were planning their wedding. They got in a car accident. Her partner died in that moment. They were in Thailand. And what's fascinating is all the people around her were saying, no, don't worry about him. It's okay. This is to make you stronger. You know, he's reincarnating and evolving and going on to his next path because there's a Buddhist country and a Buddhist evolution theory there. So it was really, really interesting. And they were at such peace with it, where she had such turmoil in that moment because that wasn't necessarily her belief in that moment, but she had her own growth from the process. She was sharing with us. Mark, instead of trying to find the right person, concentrate on becoming the right person. You will attract that deep connection. Interesting. Jason, values come from voids. If you're with someone, they're always something you're getting. Interesting.
Values come from voids. If you're with someone.
Amazing. He was saying the same thing. Peter, my 3 keys to finding the right partner. 1, do they care about you? 2, is there a mind connection and things in common? And 3, is there attraction? My opinion. Very cool. Very cool. So here's the final piece. Part 1 was, do you have a job, a career, or a mission? Part 2 was talking about, you know, why you go into a relationship. Fill up first and be overflowing with awesomeness, having your gifts to share with others, or go in seeking something from the relationship. Also, we gave you those 4 opinions from Allison Armstrong on why people go, partnership, or, you know, the prolonged legacy, to find support or give support, to have a companion to do everything with, or karma, growth. And Bank, this is a breakthrough for me. Glad to hear that. Awesome. David, I agree. Figure out yourself, and then you will attract the right person to complete your masterpiece of a beautiful life. Awesome. And so we gave those things, thoughts. The final piece we want to talk about real quick is not undervaluing or devaluing what it is you do. We live in a moment in history that is absolutely unique. I think all moments are, but this one to me is very unique. It seems silly saying that. But it's a very interesting shift in what is valued in society, especially for women. And what's fascinating about it is I remember when I was a freshman, my cousin was a freshman, I was a junior in college, and I went to go hang out with her and all her girlfriends. Some of them were cute, and we were all hanging out. And as we were there, I remember asking, like 15 girls sitting around in a dorm room, we were all chatting and hanging out, and I remember asking, what if a young woman were to come to this school and spend 4 years getting the best education humanly possible? And magna cum laude, top of her class, straight A student, passed every test with flying colors, worked her face off to grow and educate and become the best at what she could possibly do here. And she graduated, and her number one mission and goal was to graduate, go find an amazing husband, and immediately have children and become the best mother out there. And I asked that question. I said, girls, as a freshman in college, what would you tell the girl if she was sitting in this room right now and that was her goal? You could only imagine their responses. Their responses were to the tune of, I would tell her to drop out of school now and don't waste any more time or money and just go be a mom. I would tell her, why is she wasting her time and why is she taking up space when someone else who could use the education for something so much more than just being a wife and raising kids could be here. And these things to me were heartbreaking, because what's fascinating was it's a moment of history where people were devaluing, specifically young women were devaluing one of the most amazing jobs, careers, missions, callings, I don't know what you want to call it, one of the most important tasks of life, raising the future generation of human beings, and they were massively discounting this as if it was something that was not valuable. Now, that didn't happen out of nowhere. These 15 girls didn't learn that the 15 seconds I asked the question. It was a societal thing that they had been taught. You're supposed to do something more valuable with your time. You're supposed to get a job, make money, start a company. You're supposed to do something that's more valuable than raising the next generation of human beings on this planet. And what's fascinating is thinking of that thought and going through it. There's many times throughout our day, just like we were talking the difference between a job, a calling, and a mission, where there's many times we're doing tasks that feel like a job, and you don't realize the value in which they bring to society, to the future, to your life, to everything. Karen says, my first time watching you guys. Awesome. Jay, just bought your book. Oh, thanks. Can't wait to start it. How often do you do these live videos? We do these live videos pretty much every day right around this time. We try to aim for like 4 to 6-ish, wherever we are. So right now we're on the West Coast, so like 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. somewhere in there on this coast. I do have to watch the time, though, because I have a coaching call coming up in about 30 minutes. Cool. We have some time. So devaluing the things that you do every day is what we're going to focus on real quick. And I'm going to pass this one to my wife.
Where would you like me to start?
So the thought process, we've been talking about this for the last couple of days. It's very easy to lose focus on how important even the simple little daily tasks are. And we've been going back and forth because there's always ups and down moments. There's moments where, cooking breakfast feels like the most important thing in the world. And there's moments where cooking breakfast feels like, why the heck am I doing this? And I know, we've had our own moments of both between the both of us. And I'd love to kind of chat through it for people and share things we've found and little reminders of how to help them never lose track of the value and importance of even the smallest things you do every day. And I can share ways that I go about doing it.
Okay.
But I'd love your thoughts as well.
Okay, so here's how this went down. I think he wants me to share the last couple, or no, just yesterday. We've been moving a lot. So, and we just got into this house for the summer. And so I'm sitting down the last couple days and just kind of doing some basic stuff like filling the fridge and cooking and stuff, but I hadn't quite got settled with work. And so I'd been doing a lot of whatever. I don't really know where to start with the story, but basically, something happened where I just, like, I was getting to work and I was feeling a little lost. Like, what am I doing? And does this even matter? And like, almost questioning the, like, really the value. And that's what this part is about, is the value of the things that I do. And what happened ultimately was I ended up kind of focusing on something that was really stupid. Like, for example, I do marketing, so there's something called a click-through rate or an open rate or all these different terms, right? And so, which may mean nothing to some of you guys, and that's exactly what it meant to me yesterday. It was absolutely nothing. I'm like, I wasn't put on this planet to focus on a click-through rate, or like I took a nap during the day, and I actually love naps, so I didn't feel like I was really productive that day. So I didn't feel like I really deserved the siesta, whatever. And so I woke up and I was like, gosh, I'm worthless today. Like, I've got nothing done. And like, that was terrible dialogue for myself. And then earlier yesterday, I think I was on social media and I was like, I'm not living to my full potential. Why the hell am I on social media? Like, I need to be doing more. And then I got into work, I was like completely devaluing a couple of days ago, I was talking about all the different projects I've been working on, which I'm super excited about. But I just got caught off guard.
Hold on one sec. So I'm going to jump in here for a little caveat in between to give you guys a heads up on what she actually does every day, because you won't understand it without understanding the start to finish of her days. So she'll wake up, she'll jump ahead of me. Over the past few weeks, she's been working on her awesome vlog that she's been videotaping all day long, all the crazy stuff we do. And then in the morning, she would work up, run downstairs at her house, and be like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. be working first thing before I even get up to make this vlog and edit these seasons together. She would also throw breakfast on the stove for both of us and be cooking breakfast first thing in the morning. I would wake up, go through my morning routine, jump on my treadmill, do my visualization, affirmations, incantations, come downstairs. We would then go to the gym, come back. She would make sure breakfast is prepared for us. She would make sure our marketing stuff and our team members, like 4 or 5 people, are all coordinating multiple different projects in every different direction. We would then sit down. I would many times eat breakfast. Then I'd run upstairs. She'd be then in charge of coordinating many different projects, getting our newsletter together, getting our marketing together, monitoring our online ad placements, monitoring all the things she said earlier, the pay-per-click thingies, all that other stuff. Then I would come downstairs for lunch. She would make an amazing lunch. And when I say amazing food, her plates she makes for lunch, breakfast, dinner, all this stuff looks like a freaking piece of art. And it really does. Like, it's incredible. So, I mean, sometimes she makes cool smiley faces and shit in them, but most of the time it looks like a piece of art the way she creates it. It's really ridiculous and amazing. And then she'd also, P.S., we have a puppy. So before she even did her vlogging thing, she'd go outside, take the puppy for a walk, come back in, then do her vlogging, then make breakfast, then go to the gym together, then come back, then manage our whole team, then make lunch right in between there, then go back to work, then take the puppy and play with the puppy in the afternoon, then go back to work, make even more magic happen. I'd be upstairs doing coaching calls. I'd come downstairs. She'd be getting even more stuff done, coordinating many different teams and projects and all this other stuff. Then we go do something fun together, like take the puppy to the park or some jazz. We'd spend a little bit of time wandering around or doing something. We'd come back. She'd get even more stuff done on the side. P.S. She has like 2 Etsy businesses. She runs 3 different blogs we have. She takes care of me and loves me with all of her heart and soul. She takes care of her family and everything else going on over there. Like, I could not imagine a human being doing more in our day-to-day life than she does. And what's interesting, though, is with all of that going on, there were moments that she's mentioning where I'd walk out and she would take a 30-minute break in the middle of a day to rest her mind and take a quick nap. And I'd walk out and overhear her say, "I'm totally worthless. I didn't deserve that nap." And she's laughing because she's
like
really,
that.
really, really
So
good
dramatic.
at self-talk. She's amazing at this. Like, she doesn't need a freaking seminar on self-talk as much as that silly as it is.
I really do pride myself on
She's talented
staying
at
very
it.
positive.
And she taught this to herself. She didn't learn this from some freaking guru. Literally, like, as a kid, she needed to figure out how to make herself feel better. So she taught herself positive self-talk and how to talk herself through even the shittiest of situations and make it great. And so what's fascinating, even someone who's so talented at this naturally, still has moments. I have moments like this. I've certainly had moments. And what I found was when we were talking, there's different ways to reconnecting with value. And I think we have two different opinions that we can share with you. One, I solopreneured it for like 7 years to start my own career on my own. I worked for a company prior, but then broke off on my own. And for 7 years, worked for myself, by myself, with myself, and had people come in and out of the time that I worked together or with partners or stuff, but for the most part, by myself. So for me, to get that reassurance or support that I was doing the right thing, that it was working, that it was worth it, that all this stuff, it was a lot of me mentally rehearsing, visualizing the end result, attaching myself to the outcome, building a powerful meaning on my own, by myself, just building this future vision that I believed so much in that it was worth fighting for. And on the days where it felt like it wasn't working, I'd go back to work on my mindset and build it again and again and again and again and again and again and again until it became unstoppable, unshakable, and unbreakable. On the reverse side, you've started a few different companies over your span, whether it's import and export business, different things you've done, your photography business, all kinds of stuff. But for the most part, Amanda's always worked in group environments, in team environments. And so what she found was it was always really useful, and if you want to share this with them, to be in a community that's consistently supporting each other. And so we found we had two different styles when it came to running a business together. Mine was like, hey, if your psychology's off, fix it. And hers was, no, it's a team community aspect. If a team member is slowing down, we all get together and we all go and support them. Now, I think both are incredibly useful and needed. I'd love to hear your thoughts on those. I think both are very valuable.
Okay, so I know where you're going. Okay, so we're talking about how I was kind of saying, like, I'm really good with self-talk, so I understand that. Like, I called myself out as soon as I said things like that were devaluing it for the most part. I can see, like, okay, this is where my head's at. I need to change that, like, ASAP. Okay. And so I catch myself, and I try to turn it around and add back more meaning and value rather than take away all of that, which isn't fair to you or to the people you're serving or working with. So the situation was when I was talking to Jairek, I'm like, well, you obviously don't need this because he's used to just kind of running the show on his own, right? For me,
hold on a second. It's not that I don't need it. I do need it.
I know.
I'm just clarifying for people watching.
Yes, he needs it, but he's taking care of it.
I spent so many years having to do it on my own with no other choice. I couldn't walk outside and think a stranger is going to walk by and say, "Great work today," because that's just not how it works. So I had to figure it out. And there were times where it felt empty, it felt lonely, it felt miserable at moments, but I had to find a way to create a solution on my own and push through those moments. Sorry, pass it back to you.
So I think that some people are really, really great at doing that. And if you're a solopreneur, then you definitely want to master that. And if you are someone that comes from teams, like I've always had a big family or lots of roommates or a big team that I'm working with, and in those situations and in fact I've led a lot of teams where I am like the cheerleader and I'm cheering them on and I'm praising them and I'm giving them great feedback and I'm working with them to get better and better and better and to remind them of why we're doing it and the overall vision, mission, purpose. And I think that sometimes when you are working on your own or your environment changes, even whether it's you giving that to other people or people giving that same like communication to you, it's important to acknowledge that it's different and then adjust. And I think, Elaine, you said it, add more meaning and empowering description. So one thing that we noticed between Jairek and I is that yes, he needs that, but he's very capable. The man is wired. He's in fact, he's paid for, he's hired to show people how to do these things. So he's definitely a master at it. And I'm pretty good at it 99% of the time. I really am usually good at it. And I'm human, so I slip into those moments. And what I've realized is that though he's really great at taking care of it himself, for me, that's the area that I'm working on. So it's a matter of, yes, writing a more empowering description, because also he hasn't had to, keep anyone else fired up or remind them of why they're doing what they're doing. And
so here's the other part. As a coach...
Is that where you want me to go with it?
Absolutely. As a coach, I fire people up all the time because I work with them one-on-one.
Okay.
They show up, they're not doing great, and I need to turn them around, get them focused, get them passionate, help them find more meaning, and get them on track.
And I don't want him to coach me, by the way.
Here's the curious and interesting moment that occurred. My belief is you're not supposed to be coaching your spouse.
That's right. That's right.
And I also have my own belief. When you work with me on a team, I expect you to be full, fulfilled, passionate, determined, focused, and self-reliant, which is a good thing and a bad thing. The good part of it, I usually attract really self-reliant people that can hold their own and get their job done on their own without much help. The bad part is when I interact with people who aren't used to that, I come across as someone pretty blunt and not really loving and quote-unquote supportive, because my thought is if we're on the same team, I'm thinking you're at the same game level I am, therefore do your part. And there's a bad side to that. The bad side to that is that's not how everyone's wired. That's not what the experience everyone else has had. So my area of growth is figuring out, whoa, that's not useful all the time. What's more useful is saying, hey, if someone really needs that support in a different way, learning how to support them in a different way. It goes back to something I was reading in The Happiness Advantage, where bosses that believe, their employees need only to talk about the happy, healthy, good stuff all the time, and that's what makes them successful, tend to attract employees and team members who only need the happy, healthy, fun stuff. Bosses who believe that their employees need a stick and a carrot, and mostly the stick, they tend to find employees, according to research, that need the constant push and monitoring and supervision. It's really interesting. Let's see.
So I think that
Alexander says, I can relate to what you're saying, Amanda. Awesome. Denise says, working with your spouse has its own challenges. It's not easy and big growth opportunity. Huge growth opportunity.
It's wonderful. We're definitely growing, and it's definitely worth it, and I love it. I think that the key is, and some of my biggest takeaways are that what I noticed was I really needed, in that moment, I needed reassurance from him of that what I was doing, whether it was making a meal for him or rubbing his feet or making sure he had water. You give great foot rubs too. Or working on optimizing one of our landing pages, that it still had meaning and value. And I think that though we're in the same business, he has a lot of different touch points and reassurance, or not reassurance, but like praise coming from, Facebook, emails, texts, coaching calls and all that jazz. And I have kind of been taken out of the environment and now in a different one, which I love so much, so much. But it's different because I don't have all of that community around me right now.
Where did that come from back then, though? It didn't come from customers writing you all emails every day.
No, it's from my coworkers.
Got it.
So the biggest takeaway here is that I think mainly what we started off with, which is if you're ever devaluing what it is that you do, to immediately stop yourself as soon as it happens, call yourself out, and I'll turn this back to you in a second on how to maybe get reassurance from your spouse if that's what you need, because sometimes that is really helpful. But then most importantly, if your spouse isn't maybe able to help you right on the spot with that because they're working on something else or busy, or maybe that's not their thing or whatever, it's really important and up to you to hold yourself accountable to reminding yourself of the greater mission and purpose that it is at hand with each and every meal that you're serving, or email that you're writing, or meeting that you're in, or whatever task it is in your life or job or career or calling that you started to devalue. It's important to add that value right back in it, because there was value and meaning there in the first place, or I can't imagine that you would have started it, or hopefully not, but just adding that meaning and purpose back to it and not devaluing, but actually really building it up into the greatest thing that's ever existed.
Very nice.
I think that's where I'm at right now, and I think that I want to turn it back to you because
I think we're going to end right there with a mic drop.
No, the reassurance piece. I think that, and part of that too, I was devaluing some of the things that I was doing, and it was just an off day. It was we're transitioning and kind of readjusting to this new place and getting in our routine or groove with work, and I think that there are moments as a woman, as a female, that I need some reassurance that like what I'm doing is appreciated. I don't have a group, I don't have as many people around me all the time that like really praise, and like I used to have it so much, and now it's just you and I, and that puts a lot of pressure on you. So I think I want to turn back to you and say, if what might be the best way for men to communicate that, or the best way for a woman when she needs it to communicate it from like her guy, like
Sure.
that she might need a little, like just the reassurance. And it sounds vulnerable, and it is, but sometimes we need it. And
Vulnerability is beautiful. So we'll end on this thought real quick.
Yeah.
So here's the thought. Guys, and girls too, I don't know what your preference is, but if you're in a relationship with someone who has a lot of feminine energy, and at moments where you notice they need your reassurance, the one thing you want to listen to is you need to be able to differentiate the words they're using versus the emotions they're expressing. Many times I've heard it say, if you look at it just a man or woman thing, which isn't what it is, it's a masculine and feminine energy. Women have masculine energy, women have feminine energy. Men have masculine energy, men have feminine energy. And it depends on which energy is more dominant in the moment in their life of how to respond. Feminine energy, when it needs to express itself, when it says something, don't listen to the words that they're saying as much as the emotion that those words mean. Versus masculine, whether it's coming from a man or woman, masculine energy is incredibly blunt and logical. Listen to the word it means. And I don't know if you've ever seen this happen where, let's say traditionally, a young man is very masculine, a young woman is very feminine, and he texts her, do you want to go to a movies? And she copies the text, texts it to all her girlfriends in a group chat, and says, what do you think he means? And it's like, if he's a young masculine man, he means nothing more than, do you want to go to a freaking movie? Yet, with a woman, what she says can be taken logical, or sometimes underneath it, the tone, the pitch, the tempo might say one thing but mean totally something different. And what it's been said is men talk in words where women speak in emotions. She'll say certain words but have an emotion behind it. And the emotion behind it, guys, if you ever feel that she's being in need of support or love or appreciation or connection, or he is if he's feminine, you want to listen to what is the emotion linked to the word. Give you an example. Let's say traditionally it's a guy who's masculine sitting at home, and she goes, how was your day? He said, great. What happened? Nothing. What are you thinking about? Nothing. How'd your work go? Good. And then later that evening they're sitting down, and she goes, what are you thinking about? And he goes, work. Now she links up an emotion and goes, how did he feel last time he talked about work? He felt stressed. Oh my God, he must feel stressed right now. Honey, do you feel stressed? And he's like, no, not really. Are you sure? Because you're thinking about work, honey, you must be stressed. And she listens to the emotion or the feeling that's attached to the word. So just a little slight clue here that would be very fascinating to throw out there is just Juan thinks it's funny. I'm guessing young guy. Elaine, let's see. And other cultures recognize, appreciate those more domestic contributions too. So it comes from the other sources outside the home, XE Sweden. Absolutely. Jerry, hey guys, this advice from both of you together is more complete and valuable. God's design. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. Jason, this is amazing. You guys are spot on. Jane, depends on the female. Oftentimes, the way female tries to figure out it because guys in the past say things to one another. Absolutely. So, Jane, absolutely right. I was trying to just generalize. There could be a very feminine man who says one thing but really means something else. There could be a very masculine woman who says one thing and fucking means one thing and nothing other than it. And so it just depends on the energy the human being's coming from. And we could do a whole nother topic on that. Mark, I will definitely message you about my victory over Crohn's disease. What is the best method to send that message? You can
Facebook.
Send it through Facebook, and we'll make sure we grab it. So if you just send us a direct message on here, we'll get it. Anyways, we're going to wrap up with that. I have a coaching call I got to jump to and some amazing deliciousness on the table called dinner.
So
Karen has a topic request. Please go ahead and share it. We'll make sure to comb through the comments and check it out.
All right. So things.
I'm gonna leave it with her so she can finish this.
We're wrapping up together.
Okay, because I have a
thanks,
coaching
guys,
call and dinner.
so much. Okay, he's got to eat.
I've got to eat. I've got 10 minutes till my call.
I really want to hear how you guys add more meaning and purpose and value to everything that you do. That's all. Thanks for joining us. Good night.